right, it is, I think the 27th of July. This is an update for Logan. He is doing good. We had to go back to the hospital today because he had another round of chemotherapy. He was in last week, got out Monday, and now we're back in on Thursday. So the chemotherapies are getting closer together on the back side of the surgery. Don't know why. That's how it is, that I know of. So yesterday, which was the 26th of July, he went in for his PET scan, and he got a chest CT scan. Chest CT scan came out fine. PET scan, they couldn't tell because his body's still healing. So it's kind of funny that they couldn't tell. And I told my wife, I go, when they tried to schedule this before, I told my wife, I go, they ain't gonna be able to see anything on this PET scan. Because what a PET scan does is it shows activity in muscles, bone marrow. It just shows activity in, or take up of the actual radioactive solution that they inject you with. And I told my wife, this was before we scheduled it, and I had a discussion with the doctor about it too. And there was another concern about him because he's got a brace on. Is he going to be able to fit in this machine? Well, yesterday we figured out, okay, he's going to fit in the machine with the brace on. But I had told the doctor, this was like a few weeks prior, I told her I was going to cancel it until he got the brace off. And before that point, she was talking to my wife about it and trying to get it scheduled. Well, they couldn't get it scheduled. And then we went into the doctor's for blood work, and she's like, hey, did we get the PET scan scheduled? And I said, and I told her, I go, no, we're not going to schedule it, and we're going to wait until the brace comes off. Okay? So she got all upset because I did not want to do the scan when she wanted to do it. So she had called the surgeon over at the other hospital, and the surgeon said, yeah, we can take the brace off for the scan and so on, blah, 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 blah. So, day of the scan, we get in there, we put them on the table, we ask the people that are doing the scan, hey, should we take the brace off? They're like, it's not going to matter. These are the people doing the scan. Not going to matter. So, and there was no order from the doctor saying, hey, we got to take this brace off to do the scan. So I just let them do what they did, whatever they wanted to do. They're the professionals, I'm not. And I already told this doctor, I go, we're just going to cancel it, because I didn't tell her my reasoning behind it. The only reasoning I told her was, hey, I don't think he should have the scan because, you know, it's the brace. He's got to have this brace on all the time. I'm like, you're probably not going to see much. They're going to say, oh, the brace was in the way because the brace has metal on it. So then we're in the hospital today, or we went to clinic first, then we get over to the hospital, and we seen the nurse in the clinic, and the nurse is like, oh, everything looks good, everything's fine, don't worry about it, everything's fine. So then we get over in the hospital, and then all of a sudden the doctor shows up. The doctor says, oh, we couldn't get a good read on the scan because he had the brace on. But and she's like, well, you know, there's take up here and take up there on the radioactive dye, and you know, really there wasn't too much we could see. And this is what I told these people before. I go, you're really not going to see too much after the surgery. So we're talking maybe it's a month and a half after the surgery. I go, you're not going to be able to tell what's what. And this is what I told my wife. I go, they're going to do the scan. The scan is like, costs insurance like $7 grand. They're going to do the scan, and they're going to come back and say, hey, we couldn't really see much. And then the doctor's going to say, oh, the brace was in the way and we couldn't see what was there, so we don't know. So I already told my wife 3 weeks ago, this is exactly what was going to happen. They weren't going to see anything, or they weren't going to see much of anything because, or couldn't decipher it because of the body healing. When you get these scans, like CAT scans, PET scans, there's certain stuff that shows up. There's certain stuff that shows up, like, say you had surgery and they give you one of these, they give you an MRI. Well, what we learned is that they can't decipher healing muscle compared to cancer. It's too close. It looks almost the same on an MRI. They can't decipher it. And I told my wife 3 weeks ago, I go, this is what's going to happen. They're going to do the scan, and they're going to say, well, everything looks great, but we can't tell what's what. So these people just, you know, they just make money off of saying, hey, everything looks great, but we can't tell. That's so the medical field, and especially this oncology field, I'm finding is really screwed up when it comes to getting a direct answer, or any answer at all. You know, my main rant is this oncologist, and I told her, I go, you might as well just wait until the brace comes off to do this, because then you'll have like a better picture of what's going on, because he's been healed more. She thinks I'm like some kind of dummy, which drives me nuts, and I want to just actually just fire her, because I'm sick of hearing the back and forth of, yeah, we need the scan because of, you know, we got to figure out what's going on. But when we get the scan and they say, oh, we can't figure out what's going on, everything looks good, that pisses me off. It really does. Doctors absolutely, I'm not saying all doctors, I'm saying some doctors really suck. And I don't even think they know what they're talking about. It really irritates me. It's just my rant. It's just my experience. Other people might have different experiences, but with the doctor I'm dealing with, I'm not having a good experience with. And I think once it's all said and done, that doctor will not be following this case anymore, because I'm just going to find a new one. Right now, I just need this doctor to finish up the chemotherapy and we're done, because I'm just done with this person, because I don't think she knows what she's talking about. Just my opinion. So other than that, Logan seems to be doing better on the back half after surgery with chemotherapy than he was on the front half. I think with him having cancer in his body, that chemotherapy and the cancer just weren't agreeing, and he was not having a good time the first half of chemotherapy. It's better. Chemotherapy is not good, but he's actually feeling better doing the rounds of chemotherapy afterwards. He might not say so, but I can tell. to where, I mean, of course you're going to feel like crap. There's no way around it. I have no experience with it because I've never dealt with it personally, chemotherapy. But I could just tell that he's having a better time this time than he was before, due to the fact is he's eating better, his stomach's not quite as upset for, you know, he's not getting nausea. He is, but it's not, let's say, lasting for a week and a half at a time. It might be a few days afterwards, but he's still eating. It's controllable. Before it wasn't. You couldn't control the nausea, no matter what you gave him for pills. And so I think he's handling it better, and we're almost to the end of it. I think we have next week we have 2 visits coming up in clinic, which are, I think, one is a few hours, and then the next one is like a half an hour. Maybe an hour and a half. I don't know. We've never experienced that part of it yet because we're on the back half of the chemotherapy. And then after that, I think he has 6 other chemotherapy visits, and he's done. We're done. And which is good because it's just overwhelming. I mean, I'm in the hospital, it seems like more time than I'm home right now. Basically, my wife was in the hospital with Logan, what was it, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago for 3 days, last week for 4 days, and this week for another 4. That's 8. That's 11 days out of this month that we're hospital bound. Then I'm making trips back and forth to home because I gotta make sure everything's good at home. I do have my mom and dad coming up. They cook dinner for the kids, stick around for a little while. So they're supervised. There's only like a few hours in the day where they're not supervised. And they can handle it. They're, one's coming up on 15, the other one's coming up on 17, and the 20-year-old, he's just in and out doing work, going to his girlfriend's house, whatever. But yeah, it's tiring. It wears on you. Totally wears on you. I mean, I'm just, by the end of the week or weekend, I mean, we go in there Thursday and we get out on Sunday. I mean, by the time Monday rolls around, I wake up for work and it's like, oh my God, I'm like beat. I'm just beat, absolutely beat tired. And my wife is the same way. My wife can't sleep in the hospital. Logan, he's not a hospital sleeper. He doesn't get much rest. Plus, he doesn't feel good, while he's in the hospital. So it's just, it wears on you. So after this treatment, we get home on Sunday and we're back in clinic on Thursday and Friday, and then I think we got a week off, and then we got to go back in 2 weeks. It's just trying to keep track of this stuff is just absolutely insane. My calendar is just filled with, hey, you got to remember this, you got to be here, you got to go there. It's just like, it's insane, absolutely insane. So, but technically right now, I mean, after he had the surgery, technically he's cancer free. We're just making sure with this back half of this chemo, and it's protocol. That's the protocol for this cancer, that you have surgery and then you get the existing amount, you know, the next amount of chemo. So we're on the back half of it, and we're getting towards the end of it, thank God, because I don't know how much I can handle, or the family can handle. It's tough on everybody, you know, just not Logan, me and my wife. It's tough on our kids too, because they don't have mom and dad at home, you know, so it's kind of tough. Even though, like, when we were kids, we're like, I don't want mom and dad at home. Well, I mean, most kids are like that, or some kids are like that. I know I was like that when I was a kid. I mean, I just like staying home by myself. It didn't bother me. I didn't really do much besides get in trouble. So I don't, it's just tough on everybody. Way tough. But we're getting there, and it's been a long process. It started in February. We're in July right now, and we're not going to be done till hopefully September 22nd is our last chemotherapy, and then after that we just have chest scans, PET scans. So, and hopefully he's cancer free. I really hope so. So that's it. That's my rant about doctors and update on Logan. You know what you need to do? Hit up the GoFundMe, the Zelle, the Venmo. Watch videos on YouTube. Give me some ad revenue. Amazon wish list. He likes getting stuff in the mail, and we've had people buy off that Amazon wish list, and he's like, oh man, it makes his day when he gets something in the mail, you know. So that's a huge bonus when it just livens up his day, because he's kind of still bound to the recliner. I mean, to a certain extent. I mean, he gets up and does stuff. He gets up, goes outside, gets on his electric wheelchair I got him, gets him around the yard, gets him to the pond so he can go fishing. At least gets him out and he can do stuff. I mean, obviously he can't run around, but he's out doing stuff outside. He's not bound to the house, which that's huge. So previous GoFundMe donations, well appreciated. I got guys that have donated more than a few times, and highly appreciated. It just makes sure I can be there for my son, even though, you know, I haven't been working much. Like today, like this week, I'm only working 3 days this week. Next week I'm only working probably 3 days. So I mean, it's tough. Had a meeting with the boss last week. I go, hey, do you want anything out of me? You know, like, normally employers are like, yeah, we want you to do this, that, and the other. And all my employers said, hey, I just want you back full time, that's it. And my employer totally understands, you know, what I'm going through. You know, I gotta be there for the family. So, I know this is getting long, but that's just an update. That's all I can. Had a lot to talk about, I guess. So, like I said, Zelle, Venmo, GoFundMe, Amazon wish list, and I appreciate everything, and we'll see you on the next one.